new here, my name is Alejandra Montante and this is Living the Life with Fibromyalgia. As I've stated in my other videos, I do have PTSD as well, obviously fibromyalgia. And in today's video, I really wanted to talk about how to practice mindfulness. So being mindful is really difficult when you do struggle with PTSD. So PTSD, it sets you back a lot of the time, and your feelings and your emotions and all of these instant reactions are coming from a state of animal instincts. So when I say that, it's the fight or flight response and even freeze. I know a lot of you might have not heard this whole freeze, this other stage of responses, which is the third one. And so that's pretty much what it is. It's you stand still whenever you're faced with a very uncomfortable or triggering situation. So I know with PTSD, it's insanely hard to be here at this present moment, because what you're really wanting to do is just run away. You're just wanting to avoid certain situations. So it's insanely hard to be mindful at any form of situation. But I know if you are going to any form of therapy, they obviously try to give you handouts and try to tell you, hey, take a moment, breathe, be right here with us, be grounded. So throughout my 5 years of having PTSD, it's been really hard grounding myself, and me reflecting now, seeing how I would respond in a lot of situations, a lot of stressful situations, it kind of hurts me, or really does hurt me, because PTSD is very, very hard mental illness to have, because all you're wanting to do is survive, right? You're wanting to not get scared, you're wanting to get away, and it's terrifying when you black out. You don't know what you're doing, where you're at, who you're talking to, and it's very hard for the people around you, for your support group, and you're just gonna say and do things that you would have never done if you didn't have this, if you were the person that you were 10 years ago, 6 years ago, however long ago that was, when you didn't have PTSD. You know yourself that you wouldn't be crying right now, or you wouldn't be shivering out of fear and anxiety, and I totally get that. And that's why mindfulness, even though how much they want to stick it down our throats, and just for us to really get in there about mindfulness, it's really hard to practice, because you're not you when you're triggered. So it's really hard to even bring in this practice into a certain situation. As of this year, I did become that much more responsive towards this practice, but it takes, like I said, maybe months for some, weeks, but a lot of the times it's going to take years to master. And I'm still not fully mastered into this whole mindfulness practice. But I feel that mindfulness is insanely important when you're having an episode, let it be your other mental illnesses, PTSD, or even just if you're suffering with fibromyalgia as a whole. It's really important to take a moment for yourself, bring yourself back, and truly reflect and calm down. Because if you don't, then it's going to lead to a flare. So for the first step in a mindfulness practice is take a moment for yourself. You're going to want to find something to sit on. You could be standing, you could be in your car, you could just sit down anywhere, really, go outside, go into nature, anywhere where you're going to take a moment for yourself and it feels safe. Most importantly, that it's going to feel safe for you. I know your trauma could deal with being outside, because that's where your trauma happened. It could be in an apartment, it could be at home, it could be in a car. So find a place that suits you, that will calm you down at that moment, rather than you just forcing yourself to go to your car and you know that that's where the trauma happened. And it could be sexual violence, it could be a car crash. Whatever that looks like, that's totally valid. So please just find a safe place for yourself. So the second step is to, if you are a beginner, to set a limit for yourself. I know my attention span is not that big, so it's really hard for me to even take a moment or take 10 minutes or 20 minutes to just fully sit down, because I'm constantly going to want to move. But the whole point is to just sit down and to be here, to be grounded. Because like I said in the beginning, PTSD, you're wanting to fight, flight, or freeze at any moment. If you are a beginner, set yourself up for maybe 3 minutes, and then you can bump it up every 2 minutes every other time, because you don't want to just throw yourself into a 30 long session and you're like, okay, this isn't doing it for me, I'm not going to like it, therefore you're not going to continue doing it. So just baby steps into a mindful practice. Typically, my sessions last about 10 minutes, but those are like my longest sessions, just because, like I said, I have a very short attention span. So the third step is to feel your body. Not physically, like not touching yourself and whatever, but feel it as it's sitting down. Feel your legs touching the ground. Feel your hands touching the ground. Feel your hands touching your knees, wherever you wanted to place your hands. If you want to go like this, you go for it. Hug yourself a little bit. But you're going to want to be very mindful about where you're at, how you're sitting, just you being here. And that's really what's going to pull you back from this madness of an episode that might be coming up. And I'm not saying that this is completely going to take you out of this episode. It might eventually happen, but you're here. That's the whole point of feeling your body in the here and now, in the present moment, rather than you when the trauma happened, or you freaking out because of the trauma happening. It's just the fourth step is to focus on your breathing. Breathe in 7, exhale 8, breathe in 6, exhale 7, however you want to go about it, but take really long breaths. And not saying that you can hold your breath for a long period of time and it's going to do a better job, or you're going to have a better outcome, but just really focus on you. Be really mindful about your 5 senses: taste, feel, sight. If you still have your eyes open and you didn't feel comfortable closing your eyes at the moment, that's okay. You don't have to do anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. When you're thinking about here and now, notice when your mind wanders. That happens a lot in any mental illness, ADHD, autism, depression, anxiety. That's what eventually leads you into this place, into this void of just depression, of just thoughts. And these thoughts might accumulate into something worse, and eventually leading you into a panic attack, anxiety attack, an episode, a trigger. And we really need to notice when that shift happens. What did us thinking about, oh, our day, it was wonderful, this plant, oh, plants, my mom loved plants, oh, my childhood was in the, it's like that transition into what made us think about all this chaotic noise. Just notice that and cut it off. If you're not ready to face a trauma at that moment, or you're not with your therapist at any point of this, then just cut it off and remind yourself it's okay. That did remind me of that, but it's gonna be okay. Plants are pretty, plants are green, plants are wonderful, they're living. I'm growing plants, and just bring it back, pull it back to where you're at. And if this step really does trigger you, start from the beginning. Start the whole cycle again. You're sitting down, reflect that you're sitting down, reflect that you're breathing, that you're taking a moment for yourself, that where your body's at, it's here, it's now, it's safe. And like I said, for step 6, be kind to your wandering mind. You don't need to beat yourself up if you are having an episode. If you're thinking about your trauma, You don't need to beat yourself up. That person who got harassed, who got assaulted, who got in a car crash, who did something stupid, who witnessed something very ugly, if you were there, honestly, you would have just avoided it, because you know now how it just affected your life. So please don't beat yourself up. That person didn't know any better, or that person didn't know that that other individual was going to hurt them. That person didn't know going into that car that one day was going to lead them into a car crash. You don't know these things. And if you did at that moment, you would have done something differently. And I know you would have. So please, don't beat yourself up for being unaware that these things were going to happen. Because if we could change it, we would. So be kind to your thoughts. It's just your brain reacting. And that's okay. I know you want it to stop. And it will eventually. But just don't beat yourself up. Because then that leads into the episode. And that leads into much worse thoughts. That you shouldn't be here. That I should have died. That I should have... Whatever these should haves are. No. Because I know you're worth more. I know you would have done something different. I know if it was up to you, you wouldn't be having these thoughts. I know practicing mindfulness, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while to convince your brain, because your brain is so convinced that it should fight or flight or freeze, and you wouldn't know any better, but you do. And I know it's a struggle. You're fighting every day to be a better you, or to be the person that you were prior to PTSD. But I want you to know, you'll never be that person. And quite frankly, you're going to be a way better person. Somebody with education, with knowledge, and sympathy towards those who are dealing with PTSD and any other mental illness. Alright guys, well I hope this really did help you. I'm sorry if it was triggering at any moment. I just want you to calm down, breathe in and out. I know I want to cry really bad. But I love you guys so much. And I hope you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see you next Tuesday. Alright, bye.